come from pizza is called slash to bash. Slash bread. You have to hit it with a sword before you can eat it.
First day at GDC. Actually, one of the things I was most excited about seeing is the Oculus Rift, which is the very first thing I got to see.
Yeah.
Did you like it? You hadn't seen this yet.
I was mind blown. Yeah, I mean, it's totally the type of thing that, like, people describing it does not do it justice at all. You really have to see it for yourself. And even until you actually put the headphones on, or the headset on, just looking at it on the screen is all weird because it looks like some sort of double vision or something.
Yeah, it's you really do have to see it for yourself. It's one of those things. I mean, you can't describe a 3D movie to somebody. You know, it's the same thing.
Right. I mean, I've done growing up in the '90s.
All right, Grandpa.
Yes. Here's my learn from me, children. I went to all sorts of mall kiosks that had virtual reality as a kid, so it wasn't my first experience with strapping on a headset and flying in the air and then looking down and feeling like you were falling. However, it's like you said, it actually does work. You really, really need to try it and see it to believe it. But like the old virtual reality headsets, I got a little motion sick doing it.
Pussy!
Yeah. Well, see, I was only using it for about a minute, and I would get really, really
You were also trying to whip yourself around as much as you could.
I wasn't trying to, I was trying to whip myself around, yes, okay. So when we were playing...
you can spin around in a desk chair, you're going to want to throw up too.
Right. We were playing, what game were we playing? Hawken. So I was flying around in Hawken, and I just wanted to just fly up to as far as it would let me and then drop down, which was cool. But then I played the driving game where, I don't know if you've ever driven a car in real life before, but...
I haven't.
You're not exactly supposed to be driving a car like, how's it going, guys? Yeah,
right.
Cool. This is how I drive normally. And they were telling me, look around while you're driving like you would in real life. And I'm like, eyes on the road.
Yeah, it seems a little bit redundant for a driving game, but that was also like just a kind of a tech demo thing.
Right.
They were just doing that for the hell of it.
The point is, I was keeping my head still, and my brain is saying, "Oh, you're moving around right now," but my head and body were totally still. And when I took it off, I'm like, I need to throw up.
But you crashed the car,
I crashed the car. I flipped the car.
I think you were intentionally trying to get yourself injured or gross.
No, I wasn't trying to. But I had.
You were trying to get gross.
I mean, you will crash a car in a racing game. Like, you will crash it numerous times.
And I had a Virtual Boy as a kid. I know. I was that kid who had a Virtual Boy. But I had one, and you could only play that for a couple of minutes at a time, and even this...
That's because it ran on, 17 batteries?
Yeah, and it was all red on the inside.
And you had to, have it on a little stand, and you go like that?
But even with this, playing it for a couple of minutes, I don't know how long I would be able to play an actual game. I've been known to sit around and play Team Fortress 2 for hours.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I could play Team Fortress 2 with the Oculus on for 3 hours.
Well, they were saying a lot of it is really just, people adapt to it, and we're playing it at a demo. We're sitting down, we're not taking the time to really properly adjust it and tweak the things for varied astigmatisms and so forth. I mean, if you're playing, I guess they're saying that Valve is doing Team Fortress 2 on it, and they're saying the Scout runs at 40 miles an hour, which is a little bit fast for a first-person shooter, and I imagine that'd be a little bit strange when you're moving your head around and looking at stuff. I think it's interesting because if you were to approach, there's a lot of people who've gotten really incredibly good at playing first-person shooters and have adjusted to the kind of the reflexes required for that.
Right.
This would kind of cause them to sort of slow down. I imagine if you got a people who were really good at playing Hawken normally and threw them in there with Oculus Rift, it would be a much slower game.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see this used a lot differently. I mean, people who are making games specifically for the Rift versus games that existed, before it. I think a game like Proteus, not necessarily a game, but just like an exploration type of thing, would be really cool.
Yeah.
It seems like it'd be way better suited for exploration-based games than combat because.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wouldn't want to be sitting. It's almost too real if you're sitting there shooting 50 dudes,
Yeah. I mean, I think about when I first played a shooter with dual analog sticks, and I hated that. I was so bad at that because it was trying to rub my stomach and pat my head, and something had to click. I don't know when it was, but I eventually something at some point it just suddenly started being a thing I could do, whereas before I basically could only do third-person games, because if I played a first-person game, I'd just like look at the floor, and there was a little bit of that when I was playing Hawken, because you're moving your head around and you're like looking at the inside of your cockpit, and then you're controlling the actual vehicle, and there's a little bit where you kind of, if you're doing a lot of vertical stuff, you'll wind up with like just kind of looking at the floor of your mech while like running forward and.
It's cool though that you can look down and it'll look down in the game, so it has like the accelerometer in there.
Also, I mean, we were playing a very early build. It didn't have the HUD. It didn't have any of the it wasn't ready at all yet.
Right.
And I would love to just try it with the actual the big dumb joysticks that they made for Hawken. I think that would be probably the coolest thing in the world.
That would be awesome.
Because then you feel like you're actually in a thing.
Yeah. I could see this doing pretty well. I mean, the developer kits were what, $300?
$300.
So the real thing is going to have to be cheaper than that.
Yeah.
If it was $200, I would so buy this just for the novelty of it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
It's
I mean,
very
I'm
cool.
not saying I will buy one.
Yeah.
I will buy one, especially at $200 to $300 bucks. And I think it's also going to be it's kind of like how the Wii was. I don't know. I don't think it'll get that big of a mass appeal. I think it's a little too niche, but. It'll get more people. Like, I could throw my mom into an Oculus Rift and throw her.
God.
I know. Have her play Team Fortress 2, and she probably, honestly, I mean, if it gets to the point where the controllers are that intuitive, and specifically tailored for this, I don't think it would be hard for anyone who's never played a third-person shooter to strap that on and jump right in.
It's just jarring at first, It's a little bit disorienting at first, especially if you don't play games like that. I can't imagine the Oculus would be the best introduction to like a shooter.
Do you think it's jarring because you've been playing traditionally for so long?
Yeah, and also like I'd never tried the Oculus Rift before. Like you've been able to try it at previous trade shows and stuff,
Doom.
and I mean, especially Hawken. Because it's such a they had it on God mode, so we could like fly up as high as we wanted, and it was like a roller coaster, Like you go up really high and you fall to the ground, and you get that feeling of vertigo that you get if you're like on a roller coaster.
I will say that's really fun. Like, I mean, you do that too much, and you're going to get a little bit. You're going to get a little bit collywobble. You get the collywobbles. You get feeling kind of irpy. You want to barf a little bit because you're a sissy.
Yeah,
I mean, that takes adjusting, but I think it's also. I mean, we kind of. I like it in a game when you jump off of something and there is that momentary like, oh, it gives me butterflies.
Yeah, that happens even without the Oculus Rift. I've had that happen to me in games where I'm falling a long distance and you still get the vertigo.
But when's the last time you put down a game and you're like, whoa, it does have that kind of theme park thrill ride feel to it where you get off and you are a little, they're like, are you okay? Are you disoriented?
Yeah.
Do you need to throw up? And I'm like, no, I feel cool. I had a fun time because I wore a cool VR hat with an eye helmet, as I call it.
See, I would love to play a survival horror game with it.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Because I've never ever been scared by one.
Yeah.
Ever. I've
Is
that a challenge?
It is a challenge. Get me a game that'll actually scare me, because I'll play it in the dark, I'll play it with the...
Dude,
and it doesn't
put amnesia on the Oculus Rift, that's all you need.
What's the new one? The Daylight, the one with you just have a flashlight in a tunnel, and it's good God.
Yeah.
That's one thing to keep in mind though, is this is the prototype early first version. Like, let's say they do an Oculus Rift 2 and it works, and there are games that are designed specifically for it, and it's higher resolution and more responsive, and it has an accelerometer or whatever you can
gloves.
and gloves, and it's and you go inside a big dome to play it. I think that would be cool. I think the one
that goes out of the
inside an
$300
isolation
price
chamber.
point.
The one really important thing to take away from this is that hopefully somebody will make the first fully functional Virtual Boy emulator, and we can finally play
what we were talking about.
Teleroboxer.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Could finally play Nestor's Funky Bowling, or the only version of Waterworld ever.
The last boss to Teleroboxer was a cat. The more you know.
Really? Wow. The last boss of Virtual Boy was the economy and people not buying it.
Zing.
Oh, the wonders that lie ahead.